Pranayama is the fourth limb out of the 8 limbs of yoga, and the third limb is the yoga asana, the physical postures that we are so familiar with and we love practicing in a non-heated or heated room. Now, the pranayama practice is then taking all of that energy that we freed up through the physical body and then redirecting it up through the energy centers or the chakras. And without that crucial element, your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual growth kind of stops there. You hit a plateau. And then without the pranayama, you can't actually go deeper into concentration and into meditation and into what I call a zoomed out perspective. It's like yoga is like you being down in the jungle. It's very guerrilla warfare. And you're like, oh my God, what's that weed over there? And then you're like, and it's like, oh my God, that's in the way. And you slash that bit of tension. And then when you engage in pranayama, what happens is that you actually start to climb the trees. You're like ascending up through the canopy and you can look down. You're like, oh wow, okay. Everything's much more expansive up here. When you're able to withdraw your senses and then hit concentration and into meditative phases of the consciousness practice, you start to fly above the canopy and you become almost bird-like in your view. You can see down in the rivers and the valleys and the ups and the downs, and you have a totally different relationship with life. Why is it important to have a zoomed out view? Well, if you're always down in the jungle, you're going to feel stuck all the time. So the whole point of the yoga practice, the physical practice anyway, is to actually get up and out there. I see so many practitioners who've been practicing 20, 25 years, and they're still the same kind of type A wired, fretful, nervous about everything, doubtful. And it's like, why? Why is that? It's because we don't spend so much time and emphasis on the other limbs of the yoga practice. Right? There's an 8-fold path. Those are the ingredients of the pie. So if you overemphasize, like if you're cooking and you put too much salt in everything, you're gonna ruin your meal, right? So in the same way, if this is you opening up your door to the yoga highway of consciousness and you're only focusing on being very skillful in the yoga asanas, you're putting too much salt in everything. And that is going to have an energetic whiplash where you actually will feel more depleted. And especially if you're the type of person who's getting like more injuries or you're feeling even more anxious after your practice, then it means that you have to explore the more still aspects of the practice, the energetics. And that's actually sometimes scarier than going upside down into a handstand. Something that I've noticed about my clients over the years who have practiced and introduced as a daily ritual pranayama or certain breathing energetic control exercises into their routine is that not only were there physiological benefits in their vitality, glowing skin, feeling more of the sense of aliveness in everything that they do, more confidence, so more of the emotional control of their lives, not feeling like they're at the whims of these external forces. There's a centeredness, there's a groundedness, there's a vitality in how they show up in everything that they do. And that for sure is a plus. And not to mention, the immune responses. And I've seen some really interesting physiological changes in people's bodies where they report back to me like, oh, wow, okay, the doctor said this, but then that actually happened with certain like things with organ function and whatnot, and autoimmunes and symptoms of that alleviating, right? So the list goes on and on. All the physical benefits, great, thumbs up. The other side of it, which actually fascinates me a lot more, is the energetics of how they make decisions. How do they say yes to this and say no to that? And then being very okay with, I'm good with this or that. And it's simply that, right? This is at the crux of all of the spiritual work. It's being okay in the paradox of this and that. This is the duality of both. It's not being pulled to the extremes of, oh my God, I have to be there. Oh my God, I should have done that. And being so unwaveringly committed to the decision in the now. And the more that you can unravel why you breathe the way that you breathe, and then technically start to expand the depths of your breath by increasing the breath retentions. The breath retentions are very powerful because in the breath hold itself, right, the kumbhaka, it represents on a philosophical level the suspension of time and space. Right? You're literally in this vacuum, you're holding your breath for 30 seconds, 1 minute, minute and a half or more. And in that space, the sacred pause, what happens is that, first of all, your blood oxygen levels go way, way down. And there's an increase of nitric oxide. So on a physiological change, chemicals are running all kinds of funny in your system, and they're upping your neurotransmitters to produce more of this blissful feeling in your brain and your body. And so when we talk about shamanic breath work, because there's so many different styles of breath work, what we're doing is we're integrating the foundational aspects of, the benefits, the physiological benefits, the energetic benefits of foundational breath work, and then this whole other ceremonial aspect, which involves us looking at our emotional, whatever is under the carpet, and then addressing it and then transmuting it with the breath. And so this is my approach to breath work, because it's more than just sitting there and going, yeah, your immune system's better, your skin's better, great, fantastic. But there's so much more. What's underneath that? And that's what's really fascinating. So if you're interested and you feel called to, I'm doing a 2-week free challenge for teachers and facilitators. So that's yoga, Pilates, meditation teachers, coaches, or therapists, for people who want to dive into this work, first and foremost for themselves, so that you can re-spark your inner creativity, to release any blocks that might be in your way, to connect as a tribe of peers, to inspire one another, right? This is my way of giving back to our teaching community. And it's so that we can then take this work that we're energetically growing in ourselves and give it to our clients, and to integrate it into all of the work that you do, whether it's one-on-ones or groups. So for my facilitators, there's a form below. Click on the link, fill it out, and hopefully I will see you there. If you are a yoga practitioner or a yoga teacher, you know that there's an importance in doing the energetic work in pranayama. Prana being life force energy, the chi that flows through you, through the energy channels, and then yama being the control or the redirection of how that energy expresses through your physical form. Oftentimes we skip it, or we treat it as a very mechanical process. There's a very skillful way to lead experiences that are deeply entwined in the psychosomatic, connecting the psyche and the energy of the body, which oftentimes is just trapped stories. So for example, I was just working with someone who had this unconscious imprint of energy around them that was very much centered in a war story from a different lifetime that just happened to come up, where there was a lot of guilt around letting down the entire platoon and then having everyone die on their watch, right? And that energy of guilt then kind of being trapped in their chakral centers, right? This one mainly around the head and the shoulders, then follows them into this life, that then informs them how they make certain decisions and feel that other people can step all over their boundaries because they can't say no, because if they do, then they will let everyone else down, right? So it's not necessarily, when I talk about past lives and I tell people, it's not that it's historically accurate, but it's that the imprint of this energy is still playing out in this person's psyche, and that their brain, which is simply just a receptor of information, is picking up on how this story is playing out in their current behavior. Because energy is formless, and our brain, as the vehicle of translating the formless into structure and words and thoughts, then forms an imprint that we then take action upon. Let's say I have to go get a bunch of tomatoes to make this pie in the grocery store. So you take that energy, you form it into a thought, and then the action is you go to the grocery store. But the same thing happens through all of our subconscious and unconscious imprints that carry us through different incarnations, right? Whether you subscribe to past lives or not. And this is actually the essence of the pranayama work, is in unraveling that. So if you're interested and you feel called to, I'm doing a 2-week free challenge for teachers and facilitators. So that's yoga, Pilates, meditation teachers, coaches, or therapists, for people who want to dive into this work, first and foremost for themselves, so that you can re-spark your inner creativity, to release any blocks that might be in your way, to connect as a tribe of peers, to inspire one another, right? This is my way of giving back to our teaching community. And it's so that we can then take this work that we're energetically growing in ourselves and give it to our clients and to integrate it into all of the work that you do, whether it's one-on-ones or groups. So for my facilitators, there's a form below. Click on the link, fill it out, and hopefully I will see you there. So I've been teaching yoga for the last 13 years, and something that has been very pivotal in my practice, not just as a teacher, but as a student, constantly learning and growing and evolving, is the practice of pranayama. Pranayama is the redirection of life force energy, the prana, through various types of technical controls by holding the breath in various counts, certain rhythms, 1-2 ratios, maybe left, right, alternating nostril, breath of fire, all of these different ways to play with the breath. And something that happened to me along this journey of practicing pranayama is that I started to have a different awareness to myself. Something was changing in me on an emotional level and on a psychic level. I used to be a very anxious person. I used to be a performer, and I went to theater school, and ironically I was also highly nervous and very severely judgmental of myself and highly critical of others and of what others thought about me, to the point where I kind of froze often and got myself into a big mess with my emotions. And I would sometimes break down, occasional panic attacks. And so this work brings you into a centeredness that no other work can give you, because it's about your personal direct relationship to how you do everything you do. Because everything that we do has been entrained as a pattern. The breath has been there through all of the actions, the decisions, the stories that we've created throughout our lives. So to adjust the breath, to even refine it and tweak it, means that you are adjusting the way in which you enter into certain behavioral patterns. I had a teacher who told me that changing the breath is very intrusive, and it is on some level. Changing the breath, when you work with clients, when you can adjust their breath pattern, it opens up Pandora's box of emotions. And whenever I would change the breath pattern of certain clients, and I really focused on this when I would do my one-on-ones in Pilates and yoga, people would start opening up and start saying things in different ways. And this kind of happens in one-on-one situations. I would start getting old family secrets, things they've never shared with people, you know, all types of things that they wanted to say, it would just come out. And this is kind of the other power of pranayama. It's a release, right? And when energy releases from your body, the next thing it has to do is release out through your psyche, through your voice. It's about expressing what you did not dare express in the past. And this is a crucial part to growing, especially as a young teacher. If you're a young teacher and you're feeling a lack of confidence or a lack of creativity, or not feeling like you know enough, it's because there are certain embedded subconscious imprints that are stuck there that you may not even know about, that actually need to go and leave your system. And the process of pranayama is actually the disentangling of you from those stories. And so it's super crucial to integrate this work into any of the asana practice. After all, it is the fourth limb of yoga after asana. So if you're interested and you feel called to, I'm doing a 2-week free challenge for teachers and facilitators. So that's yoga, Pilates, meditation teachers, coaches, or therapists, for people who want to dive into this work, first and foremost for themselves, so that you can respark your inner creativity, to release any blocks that might be in your way, to connect as a tribe of peers, to inspire one another, right? This is my way of giving back to our teaching community. And it's so that we can then take this work that we're energetically growing in ourselves and give it to our clients, and to integrate it into all of the work that you do, whether it's one-on-ones or groups. So for my facilitators, there's a form below. Click on the link, fill it out, and hopefully I will see you there. One of the most powerful things about pranayama is its ability to help you unlock your creativity, for you to rejuvenate your inspiration. Because creativity doesn't live in the head. It's not a head experience. We think like, oh, if I'm going to create a campaign for my boss and have it be really successful, that I need my head to do that. But actually, creativity is a felt energetic experience that rises as the expression of Kundalini, or this serpentine energy that flows up through the spine in the body. And without having this wave of energy going like, oh, yes, this is what I'm going to do, you won't have a courageous drive of going like, oh, I'm going to go do that and charge ahead. If we look at the chakras, at the base, at the root chakra, you have your foundation security. It's food, water, shelter. It's your relationship with money, your relationship with sex. It's your intimacy needs. And then in the second chakra, it's your identification with the self, which is very much centered around how you create. How do you create this room? You know, how do you put objects and furniture in a certain way? That's part of your identity. How you relate with other people, right? So now the energy is rising up the second chakra. You get to the third, it's your willpower. It is all about you projecting your sense of I amness now with everyone in your surroundings. And without the energy of the Kundalini piercing through your base chakras, you're not going to be able to have this, okay, I'm here, I'm ready to do it, let's go. Because it hasn't activated this confidence within who you are and who you are wanting within you to express. Like, who do you want to express within this out into the world? And without the breathwork practices, it's very hard to lift it. On the way towards enlightenment is you have to tap into your creativity, your confidence, your compassion, your integrity, and your freedom to speak your truth, right? And then your ability to dream at your third eye, and then this direct interface to source from your crown, right? So there's an ascension process happening through the chakra system, and that gets activated through the breath. I've had very deep creative moments from deep breath work because I start to breathe differently, first off. That physiologically changes the chemistry in my body, in my brain. The dopamine levels are like off the charts, and I feel this sense of joy for no reason. You're just joyful for no reason. Isn't that great? To not have to have an expectation to be a certain way, that's just your state. And in that blissfulness of not expecting anything, something happens. You know, when people say you have to get out of your own way, but then they don't tell you how to get out of your own way, it's because no one can tell you how to get out of your own way. You actually have to feel it. And the only way to feel it is if you dialogue with your energy. This is the power of the breath work. And I'm super excited to teach this work and to integrate it with the shamanic work that I do. I integrate it with other things. You can integrate it with yoga. You can integrate it with coaching. There's so many things you can integrate it with. So if you're interested and you feel called to, I'm doing a 2-week free challenge for teachers and facilitators. So that's yoga, Pilates, meditation teachers, coaches, or therapists, for people who want to dive into this work, first and foremost for themselves, so that you can re-spark your inner creativity, to release any blocks that might be in your way, to connect as a tribe of peers, to inspire one another, right? This is my way of giving back to our teaching community. And it's so that we can then take this work that we're energetically growing in ourselves and give it to our clients, and to integrate it into all of the work that you do, whether it's one-on-ones or groups. So for my facilitators, there's a form below. Click on the link, fill it out, and hopefully I will see you there.